The Yalom unit that is destroying the Hamas tunnels. So in my eyes, you are a true hero of this Swords of Iron War, and we're so thankful to God you're here with us today and that you was able to come.
It's an honor, greatest honor of my life. Should I come up there, speak from here?
Whichever you like better. Did you take your run today?
Well, I apologize. My visage, my garments are dirty today, but my heart is full. I've come straight from. It's been 781 days consecutive deployment for me today, and it has been very intense, very hard. I speak English. I made Aliyah when I was a young boy, Jewish family. Made Aliyah age 15, was it? And who would have known that we'd be in a land of contrasts, of extremes, you know? And we really see that right now. You know, there's this, you're exhausted, but yet there's hope and there's destiny. You realize, hey, finances, all the soldiers have issues with finances. But on the other hand, guess what? God has a plan for Israel. And an American mentioned Thanksgiving is tomorrow. As I'm thinking, what do I really focus on? I could talk about the tunnels. I could talk about all the journey we've had to do in Lebanon, Gaza. It's an 8-front war if you count the media. Those of you, if you count the media. Those of you who've met Charlie Kirk, I got to meet him a few times, and he was so laser focused on this front, the 8th front. Seems like Qatar knew where to focus with the money they've donated. Charlie Kirk also knew that there's a danger and there's a need to focus on reaching the young generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, whatever they're called. And in this time, I've seen young people arise. And so I just want to say how thankful I am. Do you know, Thanksgiving is a weapon that we have as Jewish people. We here in Israel, you know, before Columbus showed up to Plymouth Rock, we were writing the Psalms here. Our prime minister at the time, David, our king, he wrote, you know, Hodu le'Adonai ki tov. Hodu, of course, we know that's also the name we use for the country of India. It's also the name of the turkey. It's called Hodu. I don't know if you knew this Hebrew word, Hodu. But it is the biblical word to give thanks. And it is a weapon that we have. I've seen that weapon in action in the tunnels. You've heard some of the hostages, how they talk about Thanksgiving inside the hardest times. I myself have seen that in the camaraderie with my friends, the friendship. I remember going into one of the worst looking places, and he's there, and he said, I've been able to make a coffee for you here in the midst of this dirt, and here you go, I want to give that to you. And I was just like, wow, thank you so much. So I just want to paint a picture of Thanksgiving. That's what I want to do today. Yes, I'm thankful that I also run the Aliyah Return Center. I'm able to help so many 1,000 families a month that are making their Aliyah, mostly to Galilee. And that's wonderful. But I just want to give a moment to say, throughout our history, Thanksgiving might have more of a role than we even thought. A good rabbi, a friend of mine, he said, hey, it could be a mitzvah to give thanks, to do Thanksgiving. I mean, it is something in our history. So I'm going to pull up a couple examples here of Thanksgiving. And so what I've noticed is, for example, remember with Hezekiah, when we had a really, really hard time here in Jerusalem, and you have Hezekiah decides to, in 2 Chronicles chapter 29, Hezekiah answers and says, now in verse 30, 2 Chronicles 29, verse 30, and he said, now you've consecrated yourselves to God, you brought sacrifices and thank offerings into the house of the Lord. Heard we're talking about that. And the congregation brought these thank offerings, and we know what happened right after that. We were attacked, weren't we? But how did that end? Full victory. An angel of God intervened and full victory happened for us. What is 186,000 of our enemies just wiped away. We see that after the parting of the Red Sea. We see that throughout our whole history. And when I wake up, you know, it's not like night and morning. The days and the nights are all interwoven in the army, you know? So at certain times of the night or day, you'll smell like an explosive, or you'll feel the wind, very strong wind of a blast of an explosive, or you'll have another sleepless night. there's always something that you could be thankful for. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to ask us all to give thanks. It's a real weapon, just like in the time of the Bible. Okay, so we've had challenges, unbelievable challenges in this since the 7th of October. It hasn't stopped, really. It's continual challenges. But we can be thankful for God's victory. Okay, we've had unbelievable, almost like wilderness experience where the nations, if that's the way I word it feels like a wilderness experience. Our friends, many of our friends, well, here it feels good. But we look online, it feels like many of our friends have forgotten those very covenants that bind us, the very uniting factors that hold the West together. And it seems like some of them have forgotten that in almost every major Western capital. We also look at that in our phones as soldiers and we say, what's going on? However, we can be thankful for the plan. Covenant, another way to say it, is the plan. We can be thankful that, even though it feels sometimes like the plan is no plan, there is a plan, and we happen to, the God of Israel has the plan. God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's during that wilderness experience. Even though we feel surrounded sometimes, especially now, we can feel surrounded just by the neighboring countries, and we could list all the things all the dangers, but we can be thankful for the sustaining power of God. I know that we're going to be sustained. It says as long as the sun is in the sky, the moon is in the sky, the ordinances, we will remain a nation. So I'm thankful for those things. It's a power. It's a shift. You can even be thankful inside a tunnel, it turns out. Right? You've seen that. Even for a piece of pita bread, a quarter of a pita bread. We might be broken. We might be brokenhearted. Yes. We might be brokenhearted because we've lost loved ones. I've been to graveyard after graveyard, funeral after funeral, lost count. And everyone knows someone who's either at that festival or fell in the line of duty to defend this country. But unbreakable. Brokenhearted, but we're an unbreakable nation. To be thankful for that. So I just want to wrap up and say, throughout our history, whenever we've seen the enemy come at us as hard as they possibly could, they fell. And I'm thankful that we are on the side that wins. I'll just say this, that we are still in a very hard season, and I'm thankful we're going to get through it, and that's a PTSD season. A friend of mine, as I wrap up, a friend of mine in my unit, in my team, I'm not going to say his name. What happens is every time he closes his eyes to sleep, and we sleep in the same area, in a tent, in a abandoned building, whatever. And so he closes his eyes and suddenly he jolts awake. And I say, what is going on with you? What do you see when you close your eyes? And so he says, well, I'm there on the 7th of October. This isn't some vision. This is real. He's there on the 7th of October. There's a tree on fire, and he smells the smoke. It's choking. There's bodies everywhere. And he goes to this one tree that's on fire. There's a woman beneath the tree on fire. This is real. This is hard to hear, but this is what he sees every time he closes his eyes. And he runs, grabs a bottle of water, doesn't even think what the dangers are. There's bullets going. And he runs to try to give her some water. And she's screaming, and she breathes her last breath just before he gets to her. This happened. And so he sees her. And I thought, man, that is a real picture of what a lot of us are feeling when we feel that trauma or that PTSD. But I'm thankful that PTSD is curable. It's not the end of the world. It is, you can treat PTSD. And that is what I believe a lot of us will be involved in, maybe with horses, because sometimes they can give better advice than some... Anyway, so there's a lot of beautiful days ahead, and I'm thankful for those days. And I'm thankful to be with you honorable heroes, just like our friend Charlie Kirk. You're standing together in those covenants that keep us together, Jews and the nations. Thank you so much for having me. Albert.
Thank you so much. And thanks to heroes like him that we have been overcoming in these battles.